How's that look?
Looks good to me. I got a haircut since last time, so how do I look?
It looks similarly to Out of Control.
No problem.
Lay it down.
Lay you down. All right. It's a good angle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think so. What about you?
Oh, it don't matter.
I like this side better.
Do you want to switch seats?
No. I'm just gonna not like any angle. Ready? Are you starting off?
Yeah.
As an anchorman or as yourself?
As an anchorman.
Okay.
I can't help it. It's just...
Turn into somebody else.
I
completely.
am
Yeah.
Scott Nelson.
Switch my spots.
I knew it. Okay with my own run?
Yeah, I like it.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, welcome to Messy Matrimony, episode 3. Whoop, whoop. Last time I shared a little bit of my story on sweeping things under the rug, and
You did a great job doing that.
thanks, I appreciate that. I really put it out there, so feel free to judge me. But talked about that quite a bit and how it affected our relationship, and Becky kind of expressed that I really did put a lot out there and took a lot of the responsibility for the relationship, so she felt compelled and led to share a little bit about unforgiveness or forgiveness. And so I'm going to let her do a little bit of the leading today, and I'm going to try to be quiet for a little bit, so we'll see how that goes.
He goes into like anchorman mode is what I told him earlier. Like different guy. It's a different guy.
That is my background, though.
I know. It's just weird to see you that way.
Okay, sorry.
You're like my husband, and so I don't, yeah. It's just a little different. So I wanted to talk today about how my ability to forgive, like, was something that I learned in Sunday school growing up, constantly, forgive. It's really important. And so, like, I thought that I knew how to forgive people really well because they can move on from other things. So didn't want Scott to have to, like, or to feel like he was taking on a lot of that burden to be able to say, hey, this is what happened in our relationship and this is all on me. Like, that's not true. It was both of us, and 100% we totally agree on that. So there's never just one person, probably. It's probably both. Responsibility for it. At least in our case, it definitely was. So I wanted to talk about how I was not very forgiving. Like, I thought that I was doing everything that I could to try and forgive Scott, but would get really bitter just when things would come up and he would forget about them and I'd try to address them and moving on. Being a Christian, knowing that I was supposed to forgive and I don't always need an apology for the forgiveness to happen, I continued to think, like, I had reason to hang on to everything. Like, I had every right to hang on to why I was mad, or to forgive to a certain extent, or to wait for an apology to actually show up, which is what I constantly told Scott. I'd be like, hey, you need to apologize for this, and this, like, and tell me that you really care about the fact that you hurt me that way. So, I mean, you can't expect somebody else to do, or you can't expect yourself to do the work for your partner, like saying, oh, this is what you need to say, this is what you did wrong, and then expect there to be healing between the relationship, because it was only on my side that I felt like I had the right to be the judge and the jury, and I had the right to condemn him for whatever he did. So I hung on to that piece so long that it grew bitterness in me like a bad weed that took over the whole entire yard. So, like, taking over a whole entire garden. I was unable to see through that. I mean, once you get into that practice, you're unable to see any good flower or any good thing about your partner. So when I get into this unforgiveness, it's like a veil that's totally blocked you from being able to have a relationship with your partner. So that's not the way to do it either. So I think Scott and I were talking earlier about how I would just think that I forgave him, but I didn't. I would be like, oh yeah, I forgive you. But until I understood the exact why, like I need to know why you did this, or I need to know what was the motivator, or you don't really actually need to know any of that. Like there's things about our separation that we've gone through that I've wondered myself, like, hey, I need to know why. But really, if you're willing to give it to God, you can move on without knowing why. You can forgive without even understanding anymore why. I mean, hopefully the other person or the other party is going to take responsibility on their part to apologize or make things right with you eventually, but you really don't need to understand why to forgive. There were plenty of times I just didn't know how to take those further steps. So like how to trade my anxiety for peace, how to deal with the fear that I was dealing with. Like, is this going to end poorly between us? Am I actually going to have to leave my husband because he doesn't understand me? Like, he's not respecting the fact that I have feelings or emotions. And I'm really going to have to do something atrocious for him to notice that it's detrimental to our marriage.
Yeah, and I would say my role in that too was a lot of times I feel like I would apologize, but it wasn't a good enough apology. And I didn't apologize for the right thing or say the right thing. And we would get into fights about that. And to my my downfall in that is I really didn't apologize well. You know, we talked about like you apologize, you stepped on my foot, and it's much deeper than that. And so I did a really poor job of communicating what I was actually sorry for. Or a lot of times we didn't even agree what the problem was. And so I'm apologizing for something that wasn't even the actual problem, or it's something deeper and underlying.
It'd be just like an I'm sorry.
And a lot of times, you know, she'd be like, you need to I'm like, I already apologized. I already said I'm sorry. And now all of a sudden we're fighting because I didn't apologize in the right way. And so it's definitely a challenge. And I would say for me, I also dealt with unforgiveness. For me, I'm oftentimes mistaken me forgetting about something as my forgiveness. And so what I mean by that is I will say, yeah, I forgive you. But in reality, it's just like, I'm just forget about what happened. Like, I'm just moving on. And so I say, I forgive you, but did I really even deal with the issue at hand? Or am I just saying, I forgive you, so we're not fighting and we move on? And so I need to take responsibility of really working on forgiveness, not only with our relationship, but with a lot of other relationships in my life, of people who have had an effect on me that I just say, yeah, I forgive you. But do you really, or are you just forgetting about what happened and moving on? So those are just some things that you want to think about. So
yeah, it was the emotional work that we really need to do. Like, I realized later on, like, this self-righteous attitude there's no right to have this. Like, Jesus forgives us for every sin. How can we dare to think that we have any right to hang on to something over our spouse's heads? Like, I have no right to do that. Like,
so good.
So your pride isn't worth your marriage.
Yeah.
It's not worth a divorce. It might be something that all people want to hang on to,
Yeah.
and we all want to be prideful. We all want to be like, no, I'm right.
Yeah.
This time I'm right. I get one.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like coming to you and apologizing as a man feels like weakness to me. Like, if I am apologizing, then I'm admitting I'm wrong.
Sure, same for me. I don't like apologizing or saying that I did something wrong.
But there's something freeing into where we're at now and being able to just own it and admit, like, we're not perfect and that's okay. And I feel like I've been able to let go of a lot of things as far as trying to be perfect or trying to be self-righteous or whatever by admitting when I'm wrong and the mistakes I've made.
You've been really good at admitting, like, hey, I was wrong. I didn't...
Yeah.
What happened the other day?
I don't know. What were we fighting about?
Liam? Oh, let's tell this story about how Liam came home and was so excited. He came up and asked me if he could play football with his friends. And I said no. I was just getting out of my car. I was just going to make dinner. Scott was going somewhere. And so he burst into this emotional, like, so upset. He was so disappointed. And Liam was like, but Dad said it was up to you if, like, I could have my friends over. And so I immediately was just way up here, like, so angry. Like, how could you put that much pressure on me the moment I walk in the door? Like, so automatically Liam thinks that he's got to go to his mom to get what he wants, to get an answer. And so I got so mad at Scott and told him, like, I can't believe you put that pressure on me. Like, the moment he walks in the door, you need to actually give him this warning, like, hey, me and your mom will decide together on whether or not you can do that, and we will answer you later. Or just say no. Just automatically don't give him that expectation that he can do something as soon as his mom gets home, because then when I say no, there's this crazy emotional response, and it makes me upset. It makes me the bad guy in the parental relationship with my son.
Yeah, I set her up for failure.
Scott gets to be the good guy.
Yeah, so really Liam and I were on our way home, and he was asking me if his friends could come over, and I said, well, I don't know, we'll have to see how your mom is when we get home and go from there. And so instead of me just giving a definitive no or yes, I really kind of passed the buck on to Becky, because I didn't really care either way. So it was a no-win situation for her. She either had to say yes and have a bunch of kids over
that I didn't want at the moment,
or say no and deal with a 7-year-old boy who was crushed that he couldn't see his friends. So
yeah,
sorry about that.
But Scott did a really good job afterwards. Like, when I brought my situation to him, I was really upset. So I was like, I'm gonna go upstairs. I did not freak out. I just went upstairs, and you pursued me.
I did. I intentionally thought about coming, because usually I just let her go.
Upstairs, and he was like, hey, can we talk?
I've never done that, I don't think.
He's never done that, but it was amazing.
Usually I'm like, I'm just going to stay down here and let her deal with whatever she wants. And when she's ready, she'll come find me. But I've realized now after 7 years that doesn't work.
And he immediately was like, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. Or I don't know what you said. It was just so healing for our relationship. And I was immediately like, okay.
And typically, I would probably blame you for overreacting in that situation.
But I didn't overreact.
I know, but my immediate defense, like, the old me would have been like, you don't get to talk to me that way. And if you didn't want the kids to come over, like, I would have just got defensive, which wouldn't have got us anywhere.
Right.
But it's just understanding the situation I put you in. Whether I would have handled it the same way or not doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, if you would have come home and said, Liam, you have to ask your dad if you want your friends to come over, I would have just like, no or yes, and that's it. But that's how I would have dealt with it. And so it doesn't matter how it affects me, it matters how it affects my spouse.
And your kids, right? Like,
yeah. All in all, I'm learning still. Baby steps.
But it was so good. I mean, like, when he does good, I try to make sure that I tell him, like, he did a really good.
Thanks. I'll screw up again sometime. So.
Yeah, but it makes the next time so much easier to deal with. So, like, he's gonna do something next week or even tonight, it probably makes me angry. Or, steps on a nerve. And because we were able to, work through that situation and he pursued me, I can trust that things are going to be fine. And they'll continue to keep getting better. And I'm going to be able to see, because I forgave him, truly, I can see good things about him. I can be grateful for the fact that he's always dependable and that he has never cheated on me. He's very faithful. He's, not always the most respectful, but he's learning. And, there's just so much about you that I appreciate now that I can see because I'm working on forgiveness. And, that's not something that's instant. There's a lot we have to heal from. And I don't have to know all the whys, but I can actually, hope for good things for both of us now.
Yeah. There's light at the end of the tunnel instead of darkness.
It's good. And we pray that for anybody who watches this.
Yeah. So hopefully, again, that's helpful and our story made you laugh and you can relate to it a little bit. And we'd love to hear from you all, things that you're dealing with, things you want us to deal with or talk about, because we're just going to keep making stuff that is on our long list of things we've done and ran into.
We can keep having normal conversations between each other.
Yeah. So we'll be back again next week, and hopefully you'll join us. So be sure to like and subscribe.
And click the bell.
Yeah, there's some sort of bell.
Some bell.
We're not
get a notification that we made another one if you click the bell.
Yeah. And we're not YouTubers, obviously. We're just new at this and having fun. So.
We're just a mess. We're just a mess.
I love it.
I love it too.
Thanks. Bye.